everyone, today we're going to go over how to select columns from a table in SQL Server. And we're going to do it three different ways. First, we're going to select all the columns from a table. Then we're going to select only selected columns from a table. And then we're going to select multiple columns and merge them under one column. So let's first begin with selecting all the columns from a table named Employees. Begin with using the select keyword. Follow that with an asterisk, and that means select all the columns. Then use the from keyword and follow that with the name of your table. So when we run this, it's going to select every column from the employees table. So we click execute. And as you can see, we have the employee ID column, first name, last name, home phone, work phone, and the department column. So that's all the columns from the employees table. So now we're going to run a query that will select only selected columns from the employees table. In this query, we're going to select the employee ID column, the last name column, the first name column, and the department column. And notice I switched the last name with the first name. So you can select the columns in any order that you like. So we select this query, hit execute. And as you can see, we have the employee ID column, the last name column, first name, and the department. Now on the next query, we're going to be selecting columns and merging them under one single column. We're going to use something called the concat function to do that. So in this query, we're going to select the first name column and the last name column and put a hyphen in between. So we use something called the concat function, and we put the column names within the parentheses and separate with a comma. And this hyphen has to be enclosed with single quotes. And then we're going to use the as keyword. The as keyword is going to create something called an alias column name that's just temporary to the output of this query. So what's going to happen is we're going to display the first name and the last name column with a hyphen in between, but it'll be under a column called name. And then we also want to display the department column. So we're going to execute this query and take a look at the output. So here you see a column called name, and there's the first name and the last name, and you see a hyphen in between. And here's our department column. Now you may be noticing that there's a weird number of spaces here. The output is just not pretty. So sometimes when you do concatenation, it causes extra spaces within your output because you're concatenating columns. So to fix that, we do something here called the rtrim function. The trim functions are used to trim extra spaces to the right or the left of an output. So if you can see this column here called name, it's displaying the first name column, but there's a whole bunch of spaces here. So we add the rtrim function to say delete all the extra spaces to the right of the first name column. So here's the first name column, and here are all these spaces. So we used rtrim on the first name column, and notice the first name column is enclosed in parentheses. So all functions used in SQL Server have parentheses, and you have to put column names or values within those parentheses. So this is the rtrim being used on the first name column only. Then you see here we have the concat function, and it's being used on both the first name and last name. You can see here, and here's the hyphen that we have. So now when we run this, we're going to fix these spaces here. So here we go. Select our query, hit execute. Now as you can see, it's a much prettier outcome. And that's it. That's three ways to select columns from a table.